The guys were out there playing softball already. And I hung around as long as I could, but then I had to beat it to the subway and get to the drugstore. So I figured out one way I could have a little sport in my life by finding boxing. I discovered boxing at must have been age 12, 13. I discovered I didn't need 8 other guys to get together and schedule anything I could find. One guy at a time, go out in the park. I bought myself for $14 a pair of good 14-ounce boxing gloves. And we just go in the park, stand against each other, and start duking it out. And I found that maybe I had a little talent for it, but I certainly had a liking for it. Something visceral about it. I felt I was out there in the sport world. I didn't have to wait for the team to get me, and I was a terrible softball player. I played catcher sometime, which I later did in the Philadelphia Orchestra softball team. But the boxing thing kind of took hold, and I encountered a guy who had just gotten out of the Army from the now very famous 82nd Airborne Division. So this one fellow, Johnny Callahan, was at LIU, Long Island University, and he liked to box. And so we bonded nicely, and he'd come every day for at least some time, wherever I was, wherever he was, we would box. The funny thing about it was Jewish kids by tradition are not boxers. There were a couple of famous ones, Barney Ross and Abe Attell, but not too many. It wasn't a thing that Jewish mothers countenance very easily because their little boys are going to get hurt. And my mom was no different in that respect. So here I am, boxing with Johnny Callahan, a tough Irish-American kid who happened to be connected with Our Lady of Mercy, CYO, Catholic Youth Organization, Mount Carmel, CYO. So here's Johnny, tough guy out of the war and out of the 82nd Airborne, with a Jewish boy in tow. Alan, you have to come down to the gym. I want to introduce you to my coach and the other guys at the CYO, Catholic Youth Organization. What am I doing in the Catholic Youth Organization? Hanging out with Johnny. And so we fight over a long period of time, and suddenly he, who was much better than I, proved it many times in the park, gets in the tournament, what was called the AAU, American Athletic Union, big tournament with fights on TV. So I'm at the house in the Bronx, 11 o'clock at night. Who do I see come on the screen but Johnny Callahan, whom I survived fights with for years at the CYO, including breaking my hand a couple of times, trying to show off. But that was my early test, which was a heck of a test. Then I watched him win the National AAU Light Heavyweight Championship. Johnny Callahan, my partner. And I watched him cold cock this guy at the end of the first round. First he got knocked down once, got up, and he massacred this guy. National AAU 175-pound champion. Just to hang out with him and go some rounds with him was a big deal to me. I still treasure that a lot. And so I kept doing it as much as I could. One time, I was working behind the soda fountain. Our primary job was there, making milkshakes, dishing out ice cream, selling all sodas, beer, which we made a lot of money off the beer. And one day, a fellow came in, a 6'2" guy came in, as all our customers were. He was a black guy. So I was behind the counter. This guy comes in. My dad says, give him a quart of vanilla and give him the spade. The spade that you used to dig the ice cream out was about 4 inches wide. So I fill up this kind of Chinese container, Chinese cardboard container, up to the top, overflowing a little bit. Of course, my dad told me, don't press it down too much. Give him a full count, because if you press down, you put more product in, it was less profit for you. If you didn't press down, and this guy must have been a favorite friend of my dad, I didn't know what was going on. He said, press it down, give him a quart. I gave him the spade, and he sat at the counter and ate the whole quart at one sitting. They were kind of hunched over the container. And then made as if to pay me, starts fumbling for a wallet or some money. And my dad yelled across the drugstore, says, "Your money's no good here, champ." And the fellow said, no, I want to pay for it. He says, no way, champ. You're not paying. So I knew this had to be somebody special because we didn't give away stuff, couldn't afford to give away. So this guy makes a half turn past my dad to say goodbye and to leave. And my dad said to him, wait a minute. He says, yes, what? I got to tell you something. He says, my boy here that waited on you, he's into boxing. And the fellow said, oh, really? My dad said, he's into it big time now, doing a lot of boxing. That's all he wants to do. Can you help him out? Show him some things? And this guy turns towards me and says, okay, come over here. And he puts up his dukes. What I remember is with his hands in front of his face, I remember the sun not shining. You couldn't even see his face. He had his dukes up like this, and there was no way you're going to get a punch through that. I didn't know what was happening, so he showed me, I'll move my arm this way a little bit and get this down to protect my left side, and then step back this way. He's giving me some kind of tutorial. I didn't know who the hell this guy was and why he's teaching me, just because of what my dad said. So then my dad said, goodbye, Jack. Before that, he had just said, champ. Goodbye, Jack. Okay, Doc, see you. Said goodbye to me. I later on found out from my dad that was Jack Johnson, the legendary heavyweight champion from the 1920s, who beat the heck out of every white challenger. So much so it caused almost a race syndrome, because America was not ready for a black champion to wipe out all the white guys and to be champion. So they tried to dredge up every strong white guy in the United States to challenge him to get a white champ. But nobody survived Jack. Nobody. I've seen the movies still. Nobody could touch him, knocking guys down 6, 8, 10, 12 times before being declared the winner. And then he'd come in periodically after that and say, remember what I told you about this? Get that hand down, get the left hand up further in front of your face because somebody's going to whack you with a left hook or right hook. And so I had a series of tutorials with one of the great champions of all time, Jack Johnson. And there's an other side to that seesaw, the musical side, because I happen to have the honor of having studied viola with the greatest violist of all time. So I'm the only person who can put on his resume student of Jack Johnson and student of William Primrose. 2 different fields, but I got them both. So that ended my boxing career and gave me pride for the rest of my life.